south of 8th, that's getting fairly close. 224 is not that far from the 182, but you still have to come up with 45,000. But as Mr. Daugherty pointed out, and some of you may not know, a lot of us look at drainage ditches like that when we assume, oh, these are a city drainage ditch. And when that subdivision was built many, many years ago, that was decided by the developer to retain that as a private ditch. And the city can't work on private property. And several years ago, there was some plans to try to refurbish that ditch. And an effort was made in that neighborhood to ask those neighbors to dedicate some easement off their backyards that butt up to the ditch. And when we once got an easement, then the city would have a legal right to spend public dollars there. As I recall, only about just odds and ends homeowners granted those easements. So there's only about 2/3 of that ditch is still privately held with no easements. So I don't know what the time or cost would be to acquire all the easements. So we can try to get you some more information on the extent of that problem. But and I mentioned that just because you mentioned it. I'm not sure everybody was aware of that.
Yeah. I would like to see us leave that open for the neighborhood to try to come to an agreement where down the road, if we got another block grant a year or two down the road, that would make a more viable option. I mean, I'd like to see that taken care of. That's obviously a pretty serious problem.
Yeah, I would like to pursue that one and notify all the neighbors, and they may not be aware. And see if they'd be interested in dedicating those easements so we can get prepared for that project.
Right. Get us ready for a future grant. On the other one, I'd like to maybe see if we do decide we want to spend some money in the sewer area, if Mr. Daniels would be willing to rate some of our more important projects, and this was definitely one of them. It'd be a no-brainer to go ahead and get another 92 added to that.
You will recall that in the CDBG, the areas where we select project, there's only certain areas of the city where certain income guidelines are met, serving a certain population. So it's kind of a combination. It's identifying the most critical needs in those selected areas, which is kind of where these came from. But we can look at that as well. Yes.
I like the input that's been given on this, and I believe that it would be appropriate at this time to take the advice of our city manager and to direct the staff to provide the alternates. So I would like to make a motion to accept alternative number 3.
I'll second it.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. Point of order. Chairman does not make motions, sir. You can present it up for a motion.
Usually the chair waits for a motion, and then the chair can make a motion if no motion is made.
Johnny asked for it. Asked for
I'll
motion.
retract my motion and open that up to the council.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we accept alternative 3, directing staff to provide alternatives.
Second.
That passes.
Yeah. I make a point? I saw some puzzled looks on faces. With that motion, in addition to looking at those, we will also provide you some additional information about these projects that some questions came up. And it doesn't mean we're just going to throw those aside. We will keep those in the mix and give you more detail on those as well.
Thank you.
Generally, you don't.
Moving on to general orders, item A on the agenda, consider proposed outdoor sculpture of Angie DeBoe submitted by local artist Phyllis Mantic for placement on the front lawn of the Stillwater Public Library. Linda Reynolds, if you will.
Thank you. I'll just give a brief synopsis of my report to the council. The Stillwater Public Library Sculpture Committee was created in late 2007 after the Friends of the Library received a $10,000 donation, and they earmarked an additional $5,000 toward the purchase of an outdoor sculpture for the Stillwater Public Library. The committee is chaired by Bob Darcy of the Friends of the Library. Councilor Tom Duggar sat on the committee representing the City Council. There were representatives from the City Manager's Office, the Library Board, the Library Trust Board, the Friends Board, the library staff, and several community members. A list of all those members is in your report. The committee sent out a request for proposal and received 16 proposals from 11 artists. The committee eliminated limited edition proposals and narrowed the selection to 5 original proposals from Oklahoma artists, and subsequently asked each of those artists to submit a statue proposal of Angie DeBow. The committee selected the Angie DeBow proposal by local artist Phyllis Mantic. The artist has brought her clay maquette for viewing. It's down there by Councilor Doherty, and I don't know if you want to turn it around so it faces the councilors now.
Try not to break.
Okay. Angie DeBow was chosen due to her international recognition for books on Oklahoma's Native Americans, her work at the OSU Library, her home in nearby Marshall, her portrait recognition at the state capitol, and there's no known sculpture of her anywhere else. The committee also asked Ms. Mantic to incorporate into her proposal the seals of the 37 federally recognized Native American tribes in Oklahoma and the seal state of Oklahoma. The proposed concept received approval from the Friends of the Library Board, and the Library Trust Board. Let's see if we can get this up here. See that. I'll go over this briefly. The statue is a seated figure of Angie DeBow sitting on a rock with books by her side. The statue in the rock will be cast in bronze, and it will reach a height of 5 feet sitting on top of the platform. Beneath the statue will be a platform which is 8 feet wide by 7 foot deep, and it will be a concrete platform with sloping inward edges. Spaced around the sloping edges of the oval are 6-inch bronze seals of the 37 federally recognized Native American tribes in Oklahoma. On the surface of the platform lies a 12-inch bronze seal of the state of Oklahoma. Located near the statue will be a pedestal approximately 40 inches high at its tallest point, with an upward sloping surface on which will be placed a bronze plaque. The plaque will commemorate the life of Angie DeBow, and you have the wording for that plaque in your council packet. The detailed budget information is also in your packet, but the total project cost is estimated at $54,890. Current pledges and in-kind contributions are expected to total $42,000. The remaining balance of $12,890 will be raised through fundraising, and the Library Trust has agreed to accept the donations. So at this time, the recommendation of the Stillwater Public Library Sculpture Committee is to approve the proposed outdoor sculpture of Angie DeBow submitted by local artist Phyllis Mantic for placement on the front lawn of the Stillwater Public Library. And there are several committee members available if you have questions, but I also know Councilor Duggar may have comments as well, having served on the committee, but we're open to questions or comments.
Are there any questions for Ms. Reynolds?
I'd like to thank you and everyone involved on this for their work. And
Thank
I'd
you.
really like to say I'm really excited we had a local artist in Phyllis Mantic that you guys picked, because that's really exciting.
And she is here this evening.
Yes.
Thank you, Phyllis.
Yes.
As are several of the committee members and supporters from the Library Board, Trust Board, Friends.
Yes. Linda, you might want to ask that committee to stand up, because they had a lot of meetings and went through a lot of the potential artists and really worked extremely hard to come up with something that would be excellent to have at the library over a period of time, and chaired by Dr. Darcy. So you might want the group to stand up.
If you served on the Library Sculpture Committee and you're willing to be recognized, please stand up. And Tom.
We should also thank all the donors who can make this possible. That's very exciting.
What would be the time frame on this if the fundraising was